just part of show business, my brother.
It is show business.
That's right, man. It's the real deal.
Yep. Yep.
When you think about it, I was thinking about content earlier today.
Okay.
All that stuff all that stuff we were promoting, you especially.
Hmm.
I'm like, all that was content, Chris.
Yeah.
Whatever the content was consumed, whether somebody was on stage, whether they put a CD in the CD player, it's just content.
No, it
Did
is.
you know that? Did you realize that?
So early on, no, but when I started, so let me rewind. So when I was in college, I wanted to be a DJ. And or actually, let me rewind further. When I was in high school, I wanted to be a DJ.
Hmm.
And I loved music. I love not just only the sound of music, but I love the beat. I love people's response to it. So to me,
That's
it was
big.
like, wow, I kind of understood from a young age that the response to music was not just what you liked or what you didn't like. It was hearing the sound. It was understanding like what people vibe to, and to me it was a big thing that people understood what it was and what we were promoting, or actually what we were playing, and then to see their response was like, wow, they
Something powerful.
yeah, like dude, they like really responded.
Just
And
content.
yeah, yeah.
Just
And I mean,
content. Bro.
I'll honestly say that I was the broke little DJ that some promoter was paying, and I'm back there playing the music, and I love what I was doing. I enjoyed it, and I was like, wow, this guy's charging like 10, 12, 15 bucks a head. There's 1,000 people in here, and he's handing me like a couple $100 to DJ.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm like,
That's
nah,
crazy.
I don't want to be the DJ. I want to be the promoter. But with that, I mean, the risk of being the promoter and understanding the risk of what you got to do is like, I don't know if I want to be the promoter anymore.
Well, they
So
do have some insurance for those stuff, but not
yeah,
much.
yeah. I mean, not for me. It was on the local nightclub scale. So I mean, insurance was minimal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like insurance for like if it rains, or I don't know if they have insurance for if nobody shows up. Do they have that too?
Not that I know of. I know that yeah, I know they have the hazard insurance, whether there's
Yeah.
a tropical storm or something else. But as far
Only
as
so
going,
much.
yeah, only so much, only so much. Yeah.
Round up. Oh man, somebody got a Ron Lamb. Is that Ron? We got to bring you on here, Ron. Got a first subject to deal. Congratulate.
Yeah.
Congratulations, my brother Ron. Congratulations. I love it. People making Monday. Look at that. He put a smile on that picture.
Yep.
So tonight, Chris and I were doing some business, actually doing a deal together. And Chris, like, you know what? It would be nice to share how I'm able to access my retirement account with a checkbook. And being that my mission is to raise your financial literacy roundup family through real estate investing and entrepreneurship, I thought that was a good idea, my brother Chris Birch. So tonight we're going to just kind of talk about how he's able to do that, why he would do that. And I'm like, when we all have a business partner called the IRS and the wealthy master using the IRS. Chris, would you say?
We do. We have the same uncle amongst all of us, Uncle Sam. Yep.
We just figured out ways to minimize what he's getting and control the amount that goes out. It's unbelievable, Chris, when you think
Yeah.
about it.
No, I mean, I said to you either today or yesterday we were talking that the IRS tax code for most people is actually considered fair.
You did say that.
Yep. So my CPA, my current CPA, said that the tax code is written so that someone who makes a bunch of money has a higher tax bracket, and
What's a
someone
bunch in your mind? From like, just frame that up, Chris.
a bunch would be a couple 100,000 up into the millions.
Gotcha. So high hundreds.
Yeah, high hundreds or even higher. So you have also the working class that is probably 100,000 or less are going to pay a much smaller tax bracket. Their taxable income is going to be at a much smaller percentage than someone who makes a whole lot of money. But when I looked at it and sat back and said, well, I don't think I mean, me personally, I don't think I make a ton of money, but why am I making, let's say a couple 100,000 a year, and I'm paying upwards of 22 to 25% of taxable income, and someone who's paying, or excuse me, someone who's earning, let's say half of that, 50, 60, 70,000 bucks, and they're paying like 7% or 8% taxable income. To me, it didn't add up.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I think, Chris, around that family tonight, we're going to be discussing, and I pray that when I was taught this, well, even Chris took it to another level because I still don't have check writing capabilities on my retirement account.
Yep.
That's by choice. But I was taught this strategy back in 2006 by my mentor, Lonnie Scruggs. And then Chris and I kind of went over it a few years ago, and he took it to the next level. So let's go. Let's tell my Roundup family what vehicle you're using, because all it is a bucket. You just have to decide what bucket you're going to be in. Is that right?
Yeah, it is. It is. So for me as a small business owner, I'm a single member. Well, I was a single member LLC. So I'm running my business. I'm paying people. A few people are 1099, a few people are W-2. And at the time, my CPA, my accountant said that the smartest thing for me to do would be to set up a SEP IRA, and then I would be able to contribute the maximum allowable from a company to an employee. Now, if you rewind what I just said, there were two people that were W-2s, and there were two people that were a W-9 or a 1099. And I was able at that time, a few years ago, to contribute the maximum by being a single member LLC, because I was determining what I was paying myself. So myself, I can actually contribute to my SEP IRA. I think it was about 25,000 a year.
Is this before you? Are we talking about self-directed Roth now, or rewind,
No,
Chris? Go ahead.
This is before self-directed. This was
All right.
this was an accountant, a CPA firm that advised me the best strategy if you own your own business. You're the only member of the LLC that you can contribute up to 25% of your earned income into a SEP IRA.
So we're still talking about contributions. Gotcha.
Yep. So to me at the time, I'm a small business guy. I'm focused on doing the business, running the business, supplying the customer. It sounded great because I could in a sense avoid taxable income up to 25%.
Gotcha.
So I thought to myself, like, that's
So
good.
that IRA was taxed. You tax it when you take the money out. Is that where we're at?
You are.
Gotcha.
Well, no, you are, but you're not. So I don't want to confuse people. But with the SEP IRA, and this is what I thought was great. With the SEP IRA, I thought that I was avoiding 25% of taxable income, but I didn't know until later that I was pre-taxed on the self-employment tax at 50%. Before I put in. Yep.
So you're getting taxed twice. Yeah.
I am. Yep. Well,
Who in the world?
I was.
Who? So CPA is recommending this.
They were, and I was recommended by a good friend of mine.
They don't know any better, right?
I was a digit in their system to me. I mean, I was audited, as you know, back in 2012, and I went through a whole bunch of other stuff. And this firm, they were a big firm. They treated me as if I was just another client. They didn't
Right.
advise me. They told
Gotcha.
me what I could or couldn't do.
So let's fast forward so we don't take up all the time for my rounduppers
Sure.
Friday night. Here's the thing, roundup. Now, let me ask Chris. You've been in business since what? 2000 what?
2004.
Do you have to make a concerted decision that you are going to recognize and take advantage of tax savings? Is that a decision that you had to have to make, Chris?
So early on, it was not, because I was afforded the luxury of the tax system where I could depreciate a whole bunch of stuff for the first few years. Some of the expenses and other stuff. But you know, now we're 16, 17 years in business. My strategy is, how do I avoid the maximum amount of taxable income? What?
Legally.
Yep, yep, yep.
Here's the thing. I'm trying to read both of us. We're a little mature in business, right?
All right.
The beginning of our careers, I'm just thinking taxes was just not even on my radar. I'm just trying to figure out how to get paid.
Yep,
And
yep.
now that I'm hanging out with the wealthy, the Barreros of the world, the Birches, the Ron LeGrands,
Hmm.
taxes are on their mind all the time.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
mean, good.
dude, we joked. I mean, the mastermind that Chris created was awesome, because we're networking with people that we never would have known, that are on the same mindset as all of us. Yes, I mean,
Mhm.
the mastermind is focused on developing a YouTube channel and sharing content, but the information we've all shared back and forth. I mean, I,
Man,
I, I laugh that my mindset is literally the same as some guy who owns 300 properties and is renting this property. I'm like, dude, we agree
amazing.
so much. Yeah,
Yeah, truly amazing. These dudes are always talking about taxes, aren't they? Those
yeah,
guys.
yeah.
So roundup, you have to make a decision. And once again, this isn't a quick thing or a fast mindset shift. The reason I'm so passionate and inspiring you about this financial literacy stuff, because when I started out, I wasn't thinking about the IRS. They audited me and they took $10,000, $15,000 at the time because I didn't have a plan in place.
Yep.
Now we have systems to reap the benefits that this great country allows us to kind of take advantage of. So, Chris, where you at now? What vehicle or bucket are you using?
So I don't actually have the SEP IRA. I've learned since then that I could actually roll that over into what we know, and some of your Roundup family knows, into a self-directed IRA. So I have two investments from my original SEP that are now self-directed into a real estate investment trust, and then
Oh, your original stuff.
yep, my original stuff. And then, since watching a lot of your content, Chris, and just talking to a bunch of people, I honestly, I felt like I was the smartest guy in the room, and I needed to get out of that room because, like,
Bad
dude,
news.
oh my goodness, like,
Bad news.
yeah. And I'm saying terms to people, and they're like, "What are you talking about?"
What
And then,
terms were these, Chris?
self-directed or a solo 401k. I mean, there's certain
I see.
things that I've heard over the last few years, and in the original room I was in, they didn't know what I was saying,
Mm,
and I put myself in a different room. I started talking to different people, and they're like, "What do you mean you didn't know about that?" I'm like, "Oh
mhm.
my goodness!" Like, you know, and I don't want to discredit anyone that I dealt with or still deal with. They didn't know,
Speak
and
different language, right?
yeah, totally different language. Yep.
Well, it's crazy when you and I'm trying to remember. We talked so much at the beginning of our relationship. The stuff you were telling me about, I'm like, okay, that's what we do. That's what we do. That's what we do. I mean, I think it was kind of you were setting yours up. I'm like, yeah, that's what we do. I mean, it's almost like matter of factly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was what, probably 2 years ago. And, I reached out to you and was telling you, look, I'm a small business guy. I'm doing real estate and I bought this house in my company's name. And, you know, I'm watching you. And, of course, if you go back in Chris's channel, you'll learn that I didn't find Chris through real estate. I learned more of what Chris was doing or teaching more because of the self-directed, because I was so frustrated that no one else shared with me that I could actually be like the trustee, the custodian, and manage my own retirement. And I was,
Tell us, paint that picture, Chris, for people that don't come understand when they say
yeah,
that. You're almost describing self-directed, correct?
I am. So there's different forms of self-directed. There's a, solo 401k. There's other forms of retirement. So
Some people think they're self-directed when it's really picking from what they already let you pick from.
yeah, yeah. So I had a SEP IRA, which I had a custodian. They managed my retirement account. It wasn't a lot of money, but I was told or taught that if you put your money over with a custodian, whether it be, um, I don't know, Fidelity or Wells Fargo or whatever, right?
Mhm.
That they're gonna
Fidelity.
they're gonna manage your retirement. And I looked after 2 years. I mean, it was only 2 years. Looked at it and saw that I was spending, or not spending, I was being charged so much money on transaction fees and acquisition fees for them to put my money somewhere else, that I was earning probably 50% of what I thought I should be earning on those accounts. Because a lot of custodians, and they're not bad, but they're very traditional. You have, let's say, let's just do Fidelity. Fidelity would charge a fee for them to buy some sort of asset, whether it be a stock, a bond, a mutual fund, or whatever it might be. They would charge a transaction fee. And then in addition, I'm paying a annual fee on top of that.
And
And
don't do you have to pay to liquidate it too?
you do. Yep. So you're gonna pay for it when you buy it, you're gonna pay for them to manage it, and you're gonna pay for it when you sell
Unreal, man.
it. Yep. But it's so,
Unreal.
I mean, to the common person, it's so, I mean, it's so common. Like they don't mind. But
So
to me it just didn't sit right. I was
good
like,
for you.
no, no.
So that is diminishing your returns.
It is, because I'm paying a fee on the buy. I'm paying another fee to maintain it. I'm paying another fee if we sell it. And I have no control because they're the ones who make the decision for me.
Hmm.
So
So how did that make you feel, Chris? What was going on in your mind when you realized what was happening?
initially for me was, I don't I don't understand why I have to pay a fee to acquire something and then pay a fee for them to maintain it and then another fee for them to sell it, and I had no control over what they were doing. I mean, to me, it just didn't sit right.
So tonight, roundup, I just want to bring you up to speed. I'm hanging out with Chris Birch. We're talking about self-directed retirement. I love, you know what, self-directed, Chris. Let me ask you, is it for everybody?
No, not at all.
Because some people might actually need a custodian to direct their investments.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think as an entrepreneur, whether I admit it or not, you develop a thick skin to actually understand a transaction and how you do business. So I have a lot of wonderful customers, but if I can say this, I can see through the bullshit as soon as they come in the door. And
Break that down. Frame that up for us, Chris.
so for me, initially I was in the entertainment world, and promoters do what promoters have to do. They sell the product, sell the service, they sell the excitement of why you want to go see this performer at this venue. So I mean,
The
there's
light.
so many elements to it, and I'm a victim. I mean, probably 15 years ago, I was actually living with my brother, and we had a roommate. And our roommate said, and my brother's a very not conservative. He's a very humble person. I'm a little bit more flamboyant. I tend to, show the positive side of stuff. And this guy said that living with myself and my brother was living with a monk and a used car salesman. And I don't consider myself a used car salesman, but I tend to show people what is the positive side, what's
possible.
What's possible? What can you gain from this? And I don't think
possibilities.
Yeah, what are the possibilities? Right. Exactly.
What's possible?
Yep.
I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but what's possible? I mean, even the lifestyle you live, Chris, is not common. I mean, entrepreneur's lifestyle, you own a business, you show up for work. I mean,
Yep.
So you found out about the self-directed investing, which luckily I'm just blessed. I'm not saying I'm better, worse, right or wrong. I was able to be taught that in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad you actually, I don't know, your mind put it all together. And
yep. No, I've said it before. I was searching for, I don't want to say it was how to avoid taxable income, but how do I smartly invest and contribute to my retirement and not be taxed on it? And I'm on YouTube. I'm doing YouTube University, doing all the stuff. And Chris Haskins pops up, and you're sitting there with Eddie, and you guys were talking about self-directed. And I'm like, wait a minute.
You heard of it before?
No, I haven't heard of it. At that time, I had not heard of it. But you guys were talking about it like, yeah, we don't do it like that. We don't, no. So
we don't do contributions. Yeah, we don't.
Yep. And I'm like, all right, so I'm forced as a business owner. I do have taxable income. What can I smartly do to avoid as much taxable liability as I can? And I researched it, and I went around, and I know you talked about a firm that you use, and I was researching it. And
you can tell them Equity Trust. I mean, I don't really like them.
Yeah, no. So I contacted Equity, and I don't remember the whole scenario, but
I do. They took forever. They were trying to move the money, and they was treating you like you was whack. You was Stanley.
They couldn't.
They do that go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, they couldn't figure out how I can contribute via my bank account versus sending them a check or sending them a direct deposit. I mean, it was kind of retarded, but I'm not mad at them, but at the time, the only thing I had invested at that time was my real estate investment trust. And then I found out, wow, I could self-direct through them. And I contacted the REIT that I was dealing with, and they said, well, we only deal with this one firm. It's Millennium Trust. Contact
Why is that, by the way?
What's that?
Why do you think they only deal with that one custodian, Chris?
There has to be there's some payola, I'm sure.
Yeah, they're hooked up.
I'm sure.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off on that. So contact Millennial and
so I contacted Millennium Trust, and they're like, no problem. You can transfer the funds over to us, and then we'll direct them directly into this REIT. And I've been earning quarterly dividends, for 5 or 6 years.
Cool.
But I guess 2 years ago, my thought was, what else? And I'm continuing to be on YouTube University because I'm not in the community where a lot of people are sharing this information. And I came across a firm that's in Utah and Arizona, and they're a CPA firm and a law firm. And this guy is actually sharing all this information online about how you can self-direct. They have their own custodian account set up. And I contacted them mainly because I was frustrated with the CPA that I used a few years ago when I was audited. And I was like, these guys, this is a small business. He can talk to people. He can explain it to me in simple terms. And I ended up going with them, and now have 2 or 3 different self-directed accounts with this firm through their custodian.
So let's talk about this self-directed thing. Break it down, Chris, for my people that
Yep.
know nothing about self-directed retirement.
So traditionally, you as a employee would contribute out of your paycheck, whether you consider that a contribution or not. You would contribute into a retirement account of some kind, whether it be an IRA, a 401k, or whatever it was.
Mhm.
And your employer would then sometimes offer a annual contribution to match it or not, but your 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 retirement account would be managed by a firm, a custodian that would be regulated as to what they could put it to, whether it be a stock or a bond or whatever it might be.
Is
But with
that based on the SEC, perhaps? The
possibly,
Securities and Exchange Commission?
possibly,
Something that's
yep,
approved.
yep, it is. So
Okay.
if you or
Now
I,
you're explaining the conventional side now before we get to
yep, yep,
get to
yep, yep,
Roundup. Please listen to this. Please. I know not a lot of you are on here. We got about 25 people.
yep.
This is what is going to give you talk about jumping on a trampoline. Tax free. Tax free. Go, Chris. I'm sorry, man. I get excited when I talk
Yeah.
about this stuff.
So what I have now, I mean, it's not the only one, but one of the ones I have now is a self-directed solo 401k.
So are you done with explaining the traditional?
I mean, traditional, they have no control. And I mean, that's kind of my end point, is that your income, your salary is going to, a portion of that is going to be paid into a traditional retirement, whether it be a 401k or a SEP or an IRA or whatever it might be. But for an entrepreneur, that doesn't make sense, because they're going to, as you said, they're going to be controlled by where they can actually invest that money. But with a self-directed, you and I have that control. So with
Now,
the
when you say,
yep.
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, with this, so with a self-directed, I'm actually the check writer. So I'm the person who writes the check to invest in whatever I want to do. I'm also the custodian, so I'm recording that and sending that back to the firm that handles my retirement account.
Yeah, that's retirement on steroids.
Yep. Yep. And I mean,
So
some people aren't comfortable with it. They would say, "Oh my goodness, why in the world would you want to manage your retirement?" I'm like, why in the world would I not want someone else to retire to manage my retirement? Like,
Robert Kiyosaki says you're wealthy or you're poor based on what you believe is smart and what you believe is risky.
yep, yeah. I mean, I've shared with you over the years that, like, every stock advice on the general stock market, every single piece of advice, I have lost money. I mean, every single one of them. And because they're looking for the transaction fee. Stock market, a broker, they get paid on 2 terms. Whether they sell it, they get paid, and when they buy it, they get paid. But I'm not saying they're doing it
That's pretty damn good odds.
It is. I mean, it's 100% odds. I mean, you get paid
Coming and going.
right. Yep. Yep.
Unbelievable. Excuse me, we got Baby P in the background. He's I don't know what's going on, y'all, but just bear with me. We'll be okay.
Yeah.
All right, so self-directed, you are in charge. What does that look like, Chris? Because I mean, being an entrepreneur, I could not even fathom someone else being in charge of my retirement. But go.
No, so for me, that's where the frustration started, where I've made all the best decisions in my opinion to run my business and grow my business. Why in the world am I going to put the money that I've earned, the taxable money, why would I put that and invest that with someone who has no interest into what my future is? It was irritating because I didn't know which way to go. I had no advice. I'm talking to a CPA and an accountant, and they're telling me to put this here and put this there, and everything they're advising me to do was charging me a fee to do all these things. And like, it was so frustrating.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I'm listening. I'm not cutting you off. I'm just
No.
it's
So,
frustrating, you said?
yep, it was. I mean, it was frustrating that, I'm busting my butt to provide a service and a product to a customer. I'm making good money, but I'm getting hammered on the taxable side because I'm making money. I'm not
Making
making
money.
a ton of money, but
Gift and a curse.
but I'm making money.
Income is a curse, brother.
Yep.
I
Yep.
mean, it's like how you make it is so important. How you make it. So
Yeah.
Chris can make 10 grand in his IRA, be tax free, and you can make 10 grand at your business and it be taxed.
Oh no, dude, 10
That's so
grand.
cool.
So do that number. If I net profit $10,000 where I am structured, if I profit 10 grand, I'm going to contribute 100% into my retirement tax free, and I'm going to owe at minimum 4,500 on 10,000 in taxable income at minimum between federal and state.
You're talking about if you do it on the earned side.
If I do earned income 10,000, I'm going to owe 22% to the Fed. I'm going to owe another, was about 12 or 13% to the state. I'm going to owe 40 to 45% of my earned taxable income. And like, I could do the same thing and take the same 10,000 and self-direct it into
Wow, man.
a Chris Haskins real estate project.
Wow.
And he's going to pay me the same whatever return, 100% tax-free.
100% tax free.
Yep.
Roundup, I need you to get this stuff. I know for some of you this could be boring, but when you have a $10,000 or $12,000 check that comes in and you have zero taxes coming out of it,
Yeah.
It's not necessarily, from my experience, Chris, it's not necessarily about that particular payday, but it's about the layering and the compounding. You got 10 here, 12 here, 4, 8.
Yep.
Boom, boom. Next thing you know, I promise you got $100,000. I mean, and it grows so fast because the IRS could care less about the taxes. You're paying zero in taxes forever.
Yep.
This is not deferred. Go ahead, Chris.
No, I mean, it took me a long time to learn it, a long time to understand it, because as you said earlier, my focus was not about avoiding taxable liability. My focus was on building a business, providing a product, providing a service, and become profitable.
Earning.
Yep. Earning. Yep.
I think once again, Chris, it's just about who you're hanging around, man. I just happened to have a guy that was just beating it into my head when I first started in the business.
Yeah. No, and I had a guy like you and other people on your channel where you guys weren't beating it into my head, but I was searching for the information. Like I was dying to figure out like what else could I do? Because like why in the world would I in a sense give away? I understand taxes are important. I understand that. Taxes, state provide roads and infrastructure, I get it. And I'm already taxed on so many other levels before I have to file my personal income that I'm okay with not having to pay a huge tax on the personal income. Mm-hmm. I'm paying sales tax and property tax and all this other stuff why wouldn't I try to be smart? And it's not even about avoiding it. Why would I not try to be smart to say, how do I avoid the personal liability to better what I've already built?
Well, you know what Ronald Grant says? It is our obligation to our families, Chris, to pay the least amount legally to the IRS.
Yeah.
So when you look at it like that, it's like, you know what? Why would I pay more than what I legally have to pay? I mean, it would make no sense. So, okay, so go ahead.
No, I agree with you.
So you're in this new world. It's so crazy because somebody could watch what we do. I think people watch what we do and they think it's done one way, but when you go into the back office, I remember Howard Schultz talks about this with his Starbucks. He's like, you think Starbucks is run one way when you go there and get a cup of coffee, but you have no idea about the water, the temperature of the water that comes in, the milk, the way they're setting it all up is just so much going on in the back office before you even get there, right?
Yep.
So now that you're in a self-directed world, Chris, tell me how that's different. I mean, what can you do other than so in the traditional way where they direct the firms, the what is the company we talked about? The Fidelities of the world,
Yep.
where they direct your retirement.
Yep.
We're buying stuff, paper assets, which I can't stand, by the way. I'm up 100% on Zoom, but I'm down. You just don't know what's going to happen. What does your retirement investments look like now? What do they look like now?
So for my traditional real estate investment trust, the REITs that I mentioned, I get a quarterly dividend every 3 months that pays
You
back
decided,
in.
but you decided to deal with them.
So at the time, so I don't think we talked about it, but so I have one real estate investment trust that is self-directed from an IRA that I have, and I
Did
have
you?
an.
I mean, you directed that into the REIT, not a Schwab or a
Correct.
Fidelity.
Correct.
Okay,
So
I want my
initially,
roundup to know.
yep. No, 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 no. So initially, I took my personal money. I had no idea what a self-directed was. So I'm like, dude, there's a real estate investment trust. They're paying 9% annual. This makes sense. And I put in
Mhm.
money, right? So I put in
Right.
money. And the first quarter, I got 9% return. The second quarter, I put in another, couple grand. I got 9% return. And after a year of that, I'm like, wait a minute. If I'm getting a return, they're paying me a dividend. Oh man, that's taxable income. I'm receiving a dividend payout from this real estate investment trust. And
More taxable income.
yeah, right. So a couple of years ago, when I was introduced to you and others that you can do self-directed, I contacted the same real estate investment trust and said, "How do you guys handle self-directed?" And
That's
they
when they
sent me to their custodian, which is
custodian. Yeah, yeah.
Millennium, and
Gotcha.
said, "You can contribute here on your earned income, and they can now self-direct it into the real estate investment trust."
Gotcha.
So here we are now, a couple years later. I'm receiving a dividend payout to my SEP IRA, which is self-directed SEP IRA, probably about $400 or $500 every quarter that gets
Nice,
chucked back into my retirement tax free.
nice,
I'm not even
nice.
touching it.
Yeah, the key is to touch it, and then ultimately, Chris, I don't know if we've ever talked about this. Ron LeGrand says the ultimate key is to pass it on to your heirs.
No, so we haven't even touched on that yet. But with a self-directed IRA, I don't care who your custodian is. You can assign who the beneficiary is gonna be. It might be Chris Haskins' 3 kids. It might be my niece and nephew. You have,
Church,
yeah, your church, your whatever. You can assign beneficial interest on like a 2-page document to say, boom, hey, Mr. Custodian, Mr. You know, Millennium Trust. I want this person and that person to be my beneficial interest if I get hit by a bus tomorrow and I don't make it.
I love
It's a power. I mean, it's a power that, dude. A couple of years ago, I had no idea about this, and now I'm like, boom, we're gonna put this here, put this there. We're gonna assign this, assign that. I mean, it's so. I don't want to call it simple, but from a business owner standpoint, it just makes so much sense.
It's ironic as we were talking about doing that deal earlier this week.
Yep.
Your mind, that's why I talk about the skill of managing money. You're thinking about 30,000 here, you got 40 here, you got 50, you need to move here.
Yep.
Your brain gets into this whole, I call it a new wave pattern.
Yeah.
Opposed to just
Yep.
thinking about how can I go earn 10,000?
Yep.
Huge difference.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, not to discuss all the details, but it's like you and I were talking, and it was like you need. Let's do a raw number. Let's say you need 100 grand for your deal, and I'm saying, dude, all right, I do have 100 grand somewhere, but I also have 24 in a self-directed 401k. I also have 22 in a SEP self-directed retirement account. but I do have probably 50 in cash. So, damn, if I put 24 and I put 26 and I put 50, damn, I could invest in Chris Haskins' deal, the same 100 grand he was talking about, and only be taxable income on the 50.
50, yeah.
Right. Like
It's stupid.
that blows my mind. Like, damn, you could do that.
One second. I don't know what's wrong with Baby P. He been going.
How old's Baby P? 3 months?
It'll be 3 months next week.
Okay.
He be cutting up tonight.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to go. Hold on a second, Chris.
Yeah, go ahead.
Baby P.
Mama just gave him a bath because he pooped and it went all the way up to his back.
He pooped again?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Are you doing a video?
Yeah, I'm live.
There you go.
Round that-
All the way up to his back. Yeah.
You heard that? Yeah. Welcome to. Anyway, what am I saying? Roundup. We're talking to Chris Birch talking about Oh, let me put it up just in case you missed it. Self-directed retirement investing. So, Chris, let's finish this thing up regarding you were talking about using a check. You have, like, for me. Let me paint the picture for you. Whenever I do a deal, I have to fill out the forms online, submit it. They wire the money or they mail a check for the investment if it's a house or a loan or whatever I'm doing.
Yep.
Out of my retirement account.
Mhm.
How does yours look? I like yours.
All right. So and I can only speak, so I have other retirement accounts, but from the solo 401k. So I do have a custodian. And my custodian filed all the paperwork. It was a simple, I think it was like $300. They filed everything. My 401k actually has its own tax ID number, its own EIN number.
Yep.
It has its own bank account. But the coolest part is that not only am I the custodian, I actually have a checkbook that I can write from to invest in anything that I am not the worker bee in. So I can't invest my 401k, my solo 401k. I cannot invest that into my business because I'm technically 100%.
Yeah.
But I can invest into Chris Haskins' real estate project or his brother's car dealership.
Our business, yeah.
Or whatever it might be. And Chris can say, you know what? I need to buy 10 cars. It's probably 20 grand or 30 grand or whatever it might be. And I'll pay you 8%. I'm like, okay, cool. We draft up a simple promissory note. I can write him a check from my retirement account, pay him, set the terms. And I know that, X amount of dollars every month or X amount of dollars when he sells all those cars or whatever it is, there's a return, a tax-free return that gets chunked back into my retirement account. And
that's crazy, man.
I hate to say when, if I were younger and if I had knew this before, like, dude, really, like, I know your mission is to share the financial literacy, but to me, it's the same thing. It's like, dude, if I could talk to someone who's 25 and they're starting a business and they're trying to make money and they don't even know what we're talking about at this point. But if I could talk to them 5 years into the business where they actually become profitable and they're looking for that strategy, dude, I would offer that service to them every day. Like,
hopefully that they'll be more forward thinking than we were, right?
Yeah, I mean, I never wanted to start them. I'm sure you didn't. You were kind of in your production days. You were in the back room. You were producing, doing the beats and music. You weren't looking for the stardom. You got the stardom, sure, but same thing with me. Is like I was really trying to provide. I knew who my clients were because I worked with them. We competed together, and I figured out that I don't want to be out all night passing out flyers and promoting a project. But I had the skill to design it or print it or, the services that they needed, and it transformed into a business. And now I'm like, wow, if I had known then, where would I be? Like, what would I be doing? I mean,
that's something.
Yeah,
that's something.
Yeah.
So Chris has I guess we affectionately call it in the business a checkbook 401k.
Yep.
I do not have that. I've been like when I started my self-directed retirement journey roundup, there was no self-directed 401k.
Yeah.
And Chris can do, not that he does a bunch of contributions, but a 401k allows more contributions than an IRA. You can look that stuff up.
Yes, I mean, to me, it's the flexibility that I know I have the SEP IRA and I have a traditional IRA, and they're managed by a custodian. But I also have the privilege of understanding now that with a solo 401k, I have pretty much all the free will to do what I want. I can put money where I know it's going to pay me a return.
Yep. Yep. So Roundup, get out there. I use Equity Trust Company. I don't know if you want to let my Rounduppers know who you use, Chris.
So for the traditional SEP, which is it's not a traditional, it's a self-directed SEP. It's invested in a real estate investment trust that only uses one firm, and that's Millennium Trust.
Mhm.
But my solo 401k
That's
is,
the one they need.
yep, the solo 401k is with a firm called Directed IRA. There's a guy named Mark Kohler and Matt Sorensen who I found on YouTube University, and I think Chris is actually going to have them, either Matt or even Mark, on sometime soon.
Been working
But
on them here.
yeah, but hearing Mark Kohler talk and explain it, and like he would paint a picture. He has a whiteboard, he has a marker,
Sharp.
and like he just broke it down so simple. I'm like, I have to talk to these guys, and I reached out and I paid a like a little simple consultation fee, like $150 or something to do a consultation. They broke it all down, and they've been managing my retirement, and they're my CPA firm as well. So, like,
Nice.
yeah.
So Roundup, I want you to know that the sky is the limit. You don't have to only do real estate. Chris and I do real estate. I mean, I've loaned money out to somebody that wants to buy appliances. I've done deals with people that buy cars. What else have I done, Chris? Bought real estate. We have rental. My IRA owns rental property, so the rents come in. What else have I done? Just regular notes, cars, appliances. Yeah, those are the unconventional. You know, it's weird because it's conventional for us. That people ask me all the time about the traditional stuff, Chris. I'm like, why does it have to be called tradition? I mean, this is what entrepreneurs do. This is the path that we chose.
No, but I mean, even not to cut it back, but like, let's say you know a local business, a local, I don't know, corner store, and they need to buy a brand new walk-in refrigerator or a freezer.
Yep.
Chris Haskins' retirement can literally give this company $20,000 on the terms that over the next 12 months they're going to pay Chris's retirement back $25,000, and there's nothing wrong with that. They'll do it.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And let me preface this for our viewers, Chris, that be self-directed can be good and bad. You can lose. I have lost some, very, very little, but Chris, let me ask you, the relationship for the borrower.
Yep.
How important is that? The people that you're dealing with, the businessmen. How important is the acumen?
The person that I would potentially be loaning the money to.
Yes.
To me, it's very important. It has to be someone I've already dealt with or know the potential of what they're doing. But I guess, not to downplay it, as long as they agree to the term, and I think that they can pay back whatever term we agree to, it's not a huge gamble to me that, so let's say the same corner store. They have a business and they're, generating money, and their freezer went out, and I decide, you know what, I'll spend 20 grand. I'll buy this. They're going to pay me back 25. They don't necessarily have to agree to return exactly what our agreement was.
Mm-hmm.
If maybe they're going to offer me maybe 20% or 10% of their net income. So I mean, you can. The key is that you can do so many different deals because you're in control of that, is really what I'm getting to.
Yeah. Well, I just don't want our listeners and our viewers to go out and loan money to Pookie
No,
and they go mess it all up. This doesn't work for everybody.
no. So I'll tell your Roundup family, it's been a couple of years that you and I have talked, right? We're just now getting to the point where I'm willing to say, hey, Chris Haskins, I got this money over here. What do you have working? What are you willing to do? And the reason being is we've already vetted each other. We've talked to each other. We've experienced what each other knows. So it is valuable that you want to put your investment into something that's already been vetted and someone else can return that same information to say, dude, I already do this. I've done it. I know you saw my YouTube channel, but now you have a couple years of experience of who I am. And I think that's definitely important, you know.
So don't go out there round up and just loaning anybody on any. People come to me all the time. I remember one dude had a thrift store. He was getting ready to buy a bunch of appliances, and it just didn't work out, So, and then I've lost money too. I remember one time I loaned a guy several $1,000s to flip a car, and he's messed that all up. So you can lose. So it's when they say self-directed, that's good and bad.
Yeah. I mean, I even learned, I kind of got penalized a year ago that I thought I could just go buy 5 cars from the auction, do nothing to them.
Yeah, you did that. I remember that.
Right. So I put a video on my YouTube channel.
I remember that.
And I talked to my CPA and he was like, whoa, how many did you do? I'm like, I did 5 last year. He was like, dude, you can only really do 3 because after 3, the IRS will consider that is a valuable business that you're going to control. You'd be better off paying some other guy $100 to go buy it and flip it, and it return to your IRA or your 401k or whatever. But don't be the person who's managing how it's happening.
So you almost like you're creating a note.
In a sense, I mean, he's basically what my CPA said was that, if you do 3 a year, you'll be fine. If you do 4 or 5, you'd be better off hiring a person, pay them a flat fee to go do the transaction for you.
Even though you're a note.
Yep. Exactly.
In essence, that's a note. You're putting up the money. They're doing the legwork.
Yep.
I agree, Chris. That's what I do.
Yeah.
That's what I do. When I say we finance dealers.
Exactly.
Finance dealer. So, well, Chris, this has been valuable information. I'm so glad that you brought this up, man. I want to thank you. It's always a teaching moment when you're an entrepreneur, Chris. Would you say?
It's all. I mean, if you're talking to someone that has been doing it for long enough, that even if you don't agree with them, when they share their opinion, you're like, damn, I never thought about that. That might be a good point. Like, I love that conversation.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Round up. If you got any questions, it's 30-something people here tonight. It's almost late Friday night. My thing is, I want this to be my thing is the content that I watch on TV or that I would watch. I would prefer to watch something like this that's going to bring me up as opposed to all of just crap we look at.
Yeah.
Danny, hey, will there ever be any taxes your self-directed retirement account will have to pay, like a maturity tax? Go ahead, Chris.
So on most retirement accounts, unless they are 59 and a half years old, you will pay, I think it's about 10% on whatever you withdraw from them. But with a self-directed, for me at least, I don't plan on withdrawing from them for probably 40 years. So as long as I keep chunking it back there, I'm not paying tax on it. But there will be a tax at some point if you draw from the gain.
Before the retirement age.
Yep, before 59 and a half. Yep.
Danny, see, here's the thing. Your brain is probably mush like mine was, because you mean to tell me that this is tax-free? Now, not tax-free until a certain age, but yes, if you take it out. But even then, now they have the CARES Act where I took $20,000 out of mine to pay off some debt.
Yeah.
They waived the taxes for that.
Yep.
But Danny, as long as you keep it in until you retire, there's no taxes when you take it out when you retire. All right. This is literally tax-free. This is why this is so great.
Yeah.
No taxes, but you can't take it out. And I know one might say, well, I need the money. Why would I put it in there? You have to have several income streams. This is going to be an investment. See, the thing is, I had to program myself. I want to ask Chris. I had to program myself to say, listen, this retirement account is for investment only. I will not touch it for anything else. Chris, how about you?
So that honestly, that is what I was searching for a long time. Was like, how, like, why am I paying the maximum taxable income on earned income? And I'm hearing, these guys worth hundreds of millions of dollars and they have no taxable income.
It's all in an IRA.
Yep. I mean, you and I joked about it. I think you probably said it on some video. In 2012, Mitt Romney ran against Barack Obama.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
For his reelection. And so admirably, Mitt Romney released his taxes and his investments. This dude had $120 million in his retirement account.
Good God Almighty.
I'm like, good.
Basically, the wealthy master this technique.
Yep. And I mean, I've learned later that most of his investments from his IRA were into the companies that he was a minority partner in.
So he did that on purpose because he can't be the managing member.
Right, exactly. I'm like,
the majority member.
Man,
smart.
That killed me. Yeah.
So basically, he's just a private money guy.
Yep. He's his own hedge fund from his retirement. Yep.
I'm not mad at these guys, man. The only time people get mad is when you can't join them, Chris.
I kind of agree. Yeah.
I mean, to a certain extent. I'm just like, I'm not on that level.
Yeah, no, politically, I don't agree with Mitt Romney, but like how he structured it and how he did it, I'm like, dude,
master.
That's so smart. Yeah.
I want to make sure I understand. I'm not, once again, politically following these guys, but the policies, you got to look at it. Levon, hey, can you assign escrow instructions to a title company of your terms as the private money lender?
I don't see that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you're going to have to deal with your borrower first. Your borrower is going to be the key to that. But yeah, the escrow company can do all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But for me, we give them our own deed of trust and we give them our own note because we have special language in our note, man. So where we can assign the collateral, you can substitute the collateral for something else. That's advanced stuff. But yes, you can do that to answer the question. One question. Let's see. No, what up, Dragon? What up, my brother? Do you have to be 59 and a half years old, Danny? Years old. Do you have to be 59 and a half years old or your account? Oh, yeah, the human has to be 59 and a half.
Yeah.
And let me tell you a kicker here, Danny and Chris. I don't know if you guys know this. I learned this recently. Did you know that there is a company that sells seasoned retirement accounts?
It wouldn't surprise me. No.
$2,500. You can buy one that's already, because it takes 5 years before you can. If you're over, okay, let's say you're 60. If you open up one today, you still have to wait. It used to be 5 years before you could take the money out. They've got them already seasoned, Chris. You can buy retirement accounts.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
All right.
No, and I mean, it's probably because they figured out a way. I don't know if pray is the right word, but they figured out a way to manipulate how much people don't know about where their retirement or where their funds are.
It's not fair, man. Yeah, you're right.
No.
Even from children, you go to school, get the right grades, take the test, go to school, go to college, go to work for somebody. It's almost like you're paid not to manage your stuff, Chris. Is that where you're at?
Yeah. I mean, I have so much control over my 401k. I can fill out one piece of paper tonight. I can send it to Directed IRA and let them know that Chris Haskins' 3 children are going to be the beneficial interest of whatever Chris Birch does in his retirement.
Nice.
It's a piece of paper.
That's deep.
And you wouldn't know about it. Your wife wouldn't know about it. But if something happened in whatever real estate deal or whatever I've done, your 3 kids would know, wow, they're the beneficial interest of Chris Birch's retirement account.
Retirement account. That's deep.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I had you on here for an hour. Roundup family. I am just asking you just to get informed. If you want more information, Chris, how does somebody get in touch with you just to kind of go over some of this stuff and just put you in their Rolodex?
So like the easiest thing for me, I set up my website, chrisbirch.biz. You can go to the contact form and fill that out. It'll come directly to me. I'll, obviously itemize it and definitely respond, within a reasonable amount of time.
Yep. Okay, Roundup. This is all I got for you. I wanted to bring this late in the evening because this ain't for everybody. This is only for the people that want to. Here's the thing. You have to ask yourself, and what I had to ask myself, are you going to walk in those shoes of the wealthy or not? There is no in between. If you think taxes are one of the biggest things the wealthy learn how to mitigate as they're rising up through the ranks. And I'm like, man, for me, I'm like, let me learn this thing. And you can't learn it overnight. Look how long it took Chris to learn this stuff.
Yep.
You've been in business.
Yeah, I mean, beating myself against the head, like, dude, like, why am I paying this? Why? I don't understand. And my CPA is saying, well, that's what you owe. But I'm getting no advice the whole time. They're just saying, well, you're in this column and, this is your percentage and you got to pay that. And to me, I was relentless to say, I can't say that that's the way I want to do it. It made no sense,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, my brother. And I just want to remind my rounduppers that for me, I learned this. It wasn't from me. I got to give props to Lonnie Scruggs. I just happened to be hanging out with a master that knew that stuff at the beginning of my career. Yeah. Now I get to be the conduit and comes through Lonnie, from Lonnie to me, through me to you. So learn about trust. I use the Equity Trust Company. You don't have to use them, but self-directed retirement.
Yep. Yep.
Roundup family, share this with other investors. Share, like this content, hit that button below and put comment. I want to know, what type of retirement investments do you do? Put that in the video description so we can kind of share the word. If you got some stuff that I'm still trying to learn too, there's a lot of stuff out there we don't know.
Yeah. I mean, the same thing you were about to say, Chris. Just because you're not live tonight, comment down below. Like Chris and I are so responsive to that stuff. Like, put a comment, ask a question, ask for a link, whatever it might be. Like, put that stuff down below and we'd be happy to respond, whatever it might be.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, subscribe and we'll see you next time, Roundup. Oh yeah, I always forget to ask, if you have any capital or if you want to get working in some of our real estate deals, just shoot out a reply to chrishaskins.com. Bye, everybody.
Yep. See y'all.